Okay, let's try this. All right. Let's grab a pencil tool here. Shrink this a little bit. Trying to get a thumbnail first. Get the color right. Trying to figure out like a head position first. Maybe looking, look in that direction maybe. Kind of a torso position here. Trying to keep it really loose right now. I don't know why I can't get my chat up there yet, but I'll have to figure that out next. This one's kind of just a test. I don't know if I'm going to actually finish the piece this time, but just this is my first stream and I want to get this working as best I can. I'm just going to resize this a little bit. All right. You know what? I'm going to change this angle a little bit. More of an extreme angle. Let's do. So the nice thing about working digitally is that you can play around a little bit more with your sketches as you're doing it, so you don't have to erase constantly and rewrite stuff. Or redraw stuff, I guess. All right. Kind of want this arm more like a blocking, maybe, position. Then I might actually turn the head this way. Get the rib cage, kind of an idea of a shape of a rib cage in there. The chest would probably go from the way I do chests is I kind of do them from where your shoulder ends to where your shoulder ends. I might want to foreshorten this a little bit. Oops, not entirely the best at the shortcuts yet for Clip Studio Paint. I have just started using this program. I've been having issues with my drawing monitor not working in Photoshop, which was for years my preferred kind of drawing painting program. I also use Krita a lot. Usually just for getting my original sketching, or if I'm inking something, I kind of like the tools in that. But this is very similar and is way cheaper than a Photoshop subscription, especially if you get it on one of the sales. And really it has all the same tools, it's just learning how to use them. Okay, so now we're gonna, this torso's gonna be there. Don't like the head position at all. Get I want them to be leaning more to that. Let's try that and see. Bicep, tricep. Let's give it a little bit bigger. Shoulder. I actually want to turn this one out a little bit more. Refine the shape a little bit different. Now for hands, I keep it really kind of loose to begin with, so I just kind of have a basic shape there. But I might, just so I know where, kind of what I'm doing there. We'll probably have him holding a pistol or something. Yeah. Foreshorten shape of the pistol a little bit in there. And I think I might actually want to give him Captain America's shield here to get that kind of crossover of the Winter Soldier and Captain America here. The hard part for me is going to be not rushing, because when I know I'm being watched, I tend to rush things quite a bit. So hopefully I can keep kind of a regular pace where I'm not kind of just rushing through it all and making it look kind of horrible. So we'll have kind of the shield going on there. So actually that doesn't work. Reason why that doesn't work is this arm here. Let's draw where the arm would have to be to the, so we'd have to have kind of the arm here, hand in here, even if it's foreshortened a little bit there. So the shield would probably more likely, let's do it to here and out. And kind of add in the pelvic region there. So that's just kind of like, I'm just defining where the hip bones are a little bit. Just so I can get the shape. Now his torso is awfully short, especially since the character is kind of want him, he's not short in stature, so I kind of want to elongate that a little bit. I'm just going to select that. And like many of these drawing programs, is Control T to bring up the transform tool. That's what this is. Allows you to move your stuff around here. And then you just press return and Control D, and it'll deselect the selection. So I'm using the lasso tool to make my selections. In these rough stages, that's what I mostly use. I mean, if you're trying to be more precise with stuff later, you might use, or if you need like a box or something, you might use different select tools. But for this type of sketching, it's just really quick. So now I've kind of got like a base kind of idea there. And I'm just going to lower that opacity down so I can start a new layer. And on that layer, I'm going to refine and render a little bit more of the details. I'm just going to look up some reference here of the Winter Soldier, because I don't exactly remember quite every little detail of how he looks. So let's just gonna copy an image here, and actually this one's better. Let's copy this one. And I will just paste it in here. This is just going to be some reference material, just so I get some of the details right on the way his costume looks. I'm going more with the movie version here, so and I think I'm going to do that mask too, just because I like the look of it. As opposed to like the comic book. I think he's got like raccoon looking eye mask now in the comics. I am using a Yiynova MSP 19U Plus monitor, and it's about 10 years old, and that's probably the reason why I'm having issues with it working in Photoshop. Which is a little bit annoying because it is very expensive to get a new drawing monitor tablet. But it does the job. It's a little bit low resolution. I think it's 1900 by, or no, I think it's 1400 by 900 resolution, so it's not even HD quality, but you can always check your stuff. I have a second monitor here that's 1080p, so I'll go and I'll move my window over there every now and then just to make sure stuff's looking good at that resolution. Let's give him kind of an angry kind of brow line here. And curve that a little bit. So it's going to kind of come to a point there. Now to keep some movement here in it, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the hair. You know what? This is just a little too far apart, his eyes. So just click the move tool after selecting. I'll just reposition them a little bit. There we go. And that brow line is going to be way too big. I'll just refine that more. Here. This is where you actually start using your eraser a little bit. Okay, let's see. How do I want this hair to go? I want it to come sweeping across. Well, first I'm just gonna get the kind of forehead, kind of his hairline in there. So that's going to extend to there. Let's give him... For long hair here, I just kind of get a basic shape first. And an idea of what the basic outline is. Then I'll go in and I'll just refine groups of strands usually. So I'll come in here and that's going to be something there, something there. But a lot of that I'll leave just because I'm not sure exactly if that's going to go with the kind of silhouette I'm looking for. Might actually have his hair sweeping back the other way, actually. Just trying to figure out kind of where the motion is. If he's definitely moving. I'm just trying to figure out which way I want to emphasize that, because I'm thinking like this direction. Yeah, I'm liking that better. Got more flow. So he's kind of like retreating away from this area where he's shooting towards. Makes a little bit more sense. Let's get some. Now, I'm not really worrying about lighting and stuff right now, so that's why it's kind of just like outlines. I'll figure that out later. So, give him, I don't know if, well, this isn't the greatest picture to go off of, I'm realizing, because I don't have much of the costume really in view. But that's where my own creativity will come in, I guess. It's got these massive looking shoulders due to the robotic arm there. It's got nice capped, crazy large shoulders. Okay, and this is, it's got this kind of like straight jacket looking jacket here. It's gonna come up, and I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna go kind of the square collar version of him. I think I've seen this before, where he's kind of got almost like a Mandarin collar, and then it's strapped across him there. I think this arm, though, it's not like a vest, I don't think. I think it's just a ripped jacket, and then, so this will be all leather and stuff too. So not gonna define too much of, I just kind of want a shape of how this stuff's gonna drape. Now it's gonna pull, if I was drawing just the muscles right here, right in here, I would define it, put a lot of definition lines this way, because that's where the shadow would be. But with the fabric pulling, it's going to be pulling away from there. So you got the direction here where it's pulling out from the shoulder there. So this is all just going to drag. You're going to have more folds that way. The eraser's not very strong. I'll have to change that setting. I like a very strong, not soft eraser there. Same thing here. Fabric's gonna be pulling there. And let's give the curve of the jacket's gonna be pulling back too from his wrist there a little bit. See, usually you can tell right away once you start, like, that fold line really didn't make sense. Now this jacket's probably, let's say this is where his hips start. Yeah, that's looking about right. You know what? I'm gonna ditch this reference image, and I'm gonna look for something that's more full body, so I have a little bit better idea on the actual outfit. See if I can find a better reference. You know what, maybe I'll just look up the Halloween costumes. Even though they're simplified, usually in comics, a lot of these, it's hard to get in the small details anyways. So a lot of the time, you can get away with a reference of something simpler like that. Here we go. This is kind of a better reference, I think. Oops. All right. Just make that a little bit bigger. Yeah, that's a bit better. Give me a better idea of what I want to do with the buckles and stuff like that. Well, this has kind of, oops, make sure I'm drawing on the right layer, which is always can be an issue. So I'll also bring that layer down. All right, well, that's more of a simplified one. I think I'm still gonna go with this kind of almost chef's jacket kind of opening there, but I'm gonna add in kind of this kind of vest thing that he's got going on here too. Well, it's going to take those folds out a little bit differently. This one has a little bit different shape. It's going to go back. And I don't know how much of the hair is going to cover this stuff here. It's interesting how the costume kind of puts in your six-pack and stuff there, which I'm pretty sure wouldn't show through the leather of the jacket here. Let's just give this kind of more of a three-dimensional look there. And yeah, there's going to be, usually there's the stitching lines there, kind of an idea of that. Give that a collar point. Now the foreshortening here, there's a trick that I just learned. Let me try a new layer here. So you can kind of check your foreshortening length. So this is my midpoint. So, and then this is the end of the wrist. So basically, if I draw lines between those two, you want these two parallel. So this line and this line are parallel, and then you know it's kind of working, your perspective is kind of working. If they're very far off, then you know the length of the objects are probably, like, this could be too long or this could be too short. It's a great way of like just making sure that you have good foreshortening going on. And I'll just delete that layer now. Let's start putting in some of the lines here. Also going to start curving around. Huh. Yeah. Okay, that works. Let's do the belt kind of in here. And it's going to have a bigger, wider stance there. And here, this is where we're going to start getting some folds in there. Folds in there. Find the center there of that. All right, and then this one's got a buckle there. I kind of like that. You know what? I like that kind of rounded buckle look. Looks good. It's kind of got a carabiner looking buckle there. Let's give him another carabiner looking buckle there as well. Let's have the straps actually having the belt come through. It's a little wide on both sides here. All right, now this is going to be difficult here. It's the star in his arm. Trying to do that with the with the curved perspective of the muscle might be not the easiest thing in the world to do, but I'll give it a try. Yeah, something like that should work. So let's just get kind of an idea of what this is going to be. His thumb. Maybe not. Alright, so I'm imagining, so if it's a knuckle is here, 2, 3, 4, and then kind of do that there. Not the best at hands, I'm okay. The kind of tricks I use to try to get it. He's probably gonna have on some tactical gloves anyways. Let's go to them. Something there. Alright, and now let's define. Actually, zoom out here. I can use more of my wrist to get those lines to a curve that I like. Let's go. All right. And Captain America shield. Let's see. You know, the angle of that could be more extreme. Control T. I'm going to do that. Actually, I'm going to copy and paste it onto an. No. I'm going to first, instead, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to copy and paste it to a new layer. Then I'm going to move it. Select. Now I'll go back in here. And the original layer. I'm just going to delete that. Why I did it that way is then I can just clean it up a little bit nicer without ruining this stuff. See, I'm not gonna erase the area below. All right, and then I'll probably just merge that one down. Merge with layer below. This way I can get more of that cool mechanical arm in there, as well as kind of getting it just seems more natural of when he's pulling this one up, like his arm would probably lower down. It's gonna look up Captain America's shield here. If I could type properly. Alright, so how many concentric circles are there? There's red, white, red, and then the blue star. Alright. Oops. Sometimes when you're going from window to window, you'll get an issue like that where stuff will kind of pop up and look weird. Now, if I thought the last one was going to be an issue, the last star that I did, it's nothing compared to what this star will look like, or will give me issues. Go that. I'm not going to worry too much about that for right now. See if I can figure out some sort of trick to make that easier. Alright. So it's going to come across here, and then the kind of the knuckle of the thumb there. Now here you can see kind of like your tendon kind of pop in there. Now the gun's probably going to have a little bit something along the lines of that for a shape there. Depending on what kind of gun it is. Impression there of a finger coming through the trigger guard. Make sure that lines up with kind of how that would look. 1, 3. Let's give that kind of a grip panel there. And instead of, I got the back of the gun coming way too far back. And this whole section is too big. How do I know it's too big? You just get, it just didn't look right to me. Like it may have been right, but if something's just telling you, like that whole hand looks way too big, just trust your instincts. I'm sure, like, of course the hand actually should be smaller than the, way smaller than that yet. If you're just looking kind of the perspective here, it shouldn't go up. Especially if a guy's got the kind of muscular size this guy has. That's looking more correct. I'm just gonna, oops, I have my, wait, cancel. I have my eraser selected there. I'm just gonna go in here. Now I have it kind of turned a little bit more than I actually want the hand to be. So I don't want him to be kind of limp wristing the gun, which he kind of is here. So I'm just going to change the angle slightly on that, have it shallower. Okay. We'll figure that out. No, it's still too far back, probably. It really depends on what kind of gun you're going for here. If you're like, maybe like a 1911 or something, might actually look up a reference of a pistol here. I mean, you can always make up your own gun. I mean, it is comic book fantasy art, really. So there you can see these two perspectives are off. I shouldn't be seeing that much of the back of the pistol there. So it happens sometimes when you're too zoomed in, These are the kind of mistakes you'll make. Ooh. Triggered. Let's get the basic shape first. Let's erase that line. Erase that line. I used to have like Soldier of Fortune magazines and stuff to figure this stuff out. Nowadays it's so easy. It's just Google it. Not really trying to get it too precise, but just kind of get it in there for now. On the back of the gun, you're gonna see hammer here, some sort of thing there. This could be shorter than that. That's really crude, but it gets the job done for now, and you can always go in there when I'm inking and get those nice straight lines and stuff I need for it. Okay. Alright, so I probably can get rid of that picture now. Okay, so there's where I'm at with this. Is about as far as I go with penciling before I start going in and inking. If you were doing this professionally and you had someone else inking your stuff for you, you would take this way, way, way further than this point. Still not liking this forearm. I think it's the folds in the in that, and then this part here. Something going on there. Oh, there we go. Now it's kind of like his elbows hyperextending there. Don't know. I think it's this wrist should be coming here. If that's coming there, this should be kind of lower down. Let's give it a little less on the bicep there. And he'll probably be wearing some sort of black gloves there. You know what? I'm tempted to just show that whole arm instead of doing the jacket thing. You know what? The shape is not gonna, it's gonna be more like that in there. If it's truly pulling from like a leather fabric or something. Cool. That's better. The shoulders is being defined a little too early or too late there. So let's bring that in there. Eraser is a good tool too, just to find out shapes. Sometimes when I'm drawing, I'll just block out shapes, like for a body position. I'll just do something like this. This is basically what we just did. But when you're thumbnailing, like, this is a good way. I know it's not detailed or anything, and it's just a step above like a stick man, but what it does do is it gives you the silhouette, which is one of the most important defining characteristics of what you're drawing. See, even though this one, I kind of like that positioning even better. It has more movement going on. But you get the idea. It's a good way of like when I'm digitally painting, that's what I'll do. I usually won't even sketch to this level. What I'll do is I'll just do blobs of color in those spots. And then I'll go from there. It's quite a bit different of a process. Almost painting is a lot more like sculpting than I would say it is has to do with drawing with pencil. Okay. Usually I'm bad at this. I never name my layers. Again, it's a habit of working on everything yourself. Because no one's going to slap my hand for what I'm doing incorrectly. Alright, so let's start inking in here. This is where I really start defining stuff. Right now I'm using the G pen. It's in any other, it's just basically a brush that is pretty solid. I don't know, how do you describe that? But it's pretty close to like a brush pen. I think the real G pen though is more of a nibbed pen. But I find this one reacts more like a brush in its digital form. Sorry, try to find my Control Z. Funny thing is like once you start going back to doing stuff traditionally on pen and paper, I often find myself trying to Control Z instead of picking up the eraser. It just becomes such a force of habit and muscle memory that you know to erase is Control Z. Now I'm gonna wait on like the pupils and stuff here. Now some guys will say like now is the time you're gonna block in all your big shadows and stuff. I personally like to leave it because I can always make changes. I'm just gonna do the basic to give me an idea of the shapes first before I go and start trying to light them. See, now that I'm in here tighter, I can tell the eyes are still too far apart here. I'm just going to move that one. There. I'm just going to do something basic with the eye right now. I think sometimes, because it is often people have a difficult time when they first start drawing with eyes, and they tend to over detail everything. Like, you want to be able to convey as much information as possible in your drawings without actually having to overly define stuff. You want create kind of a shorthand for everything. I don't know why my pen's looking weird there. Why am I getting why am I getting a softer look than I want? Oh, apparently I was on the rougher pen than I thought. Oh, that's why. I wasn't on a pen. I switched to a paint tool accidentally. Alright. I'm just going to define that a little bit more. Main thing is you want the pupil. You can always go in there. Some people draw in the highlight there and stuff, but I'm going to leave it for now because I find I like to make those decisions later in the process. So I'm not like locked into kind of an expression or a look in the eyes. Eyes are a weird one because they're either overly emphasized in the importance of the drawing, or they're underemphasized. They can be both. Some people I think lay a little too much significance to the details of the eyes for expression. Or more, it's more in the brow and forehead, in my opinion. I'm trying to figure out what I want here. Do I want him to have kind of a higher brow line? Just not liking the look of that. Well, let's go with it for now. Now this mask here, I'm not exactly sure what was going on in it. I just kind of want to see what kind of shapes. If I want it more angular or if I want it kind of a more organic shape to it. Go a little more like a Mortal Kombat look. Let's just go with that for now. Yeah, so at the start, sometimes my drawings look a little bit more, at this stage, they're going to be a little bit more like a coloring book kind of look, where I'm not really putting in a whole lot of texture and lighting information. So there's no like hatching and stuff right away here. Sometimes I will. It just depends on if there's a spot that you really find interesting. You'll see a lot of guys spend a lot of time, a lot of people spend a lot of time on the like details of one part really early on, like usually in the face and usually around the eyes. You'll see guys rendering out a lot, and I do it too sometimes. It's just that's where your interest is. Don't feel like you have to work in a certain order. I think people sometimes take these advice and just because someone else is doing it, they decide like, oh, that's the best. It's the best way of doing it. Not entirely true. You'll find it in like, take all advice with a grain of salt, because everybody works differently. Unfortunately, I didn't really set this up as like a tutorial, so for people to be able to easily follow along and copy. But I hope that if you're watching this stream, that you're picking up your pencil and you're just drawing something yourself, even if it's different, completely different from what I'm doing. I found it helpful for myself. There's a couple people that I follow on YouTube that I like to draw along with. Ones that come to mind are like Jason Brewbreaker for a while was doing a lot of live streams, working on his comic books. David Finch has a great one that he does every Monday, I believe. That was a little bit of inspiration for me trying this. Mainly is the problem is I don't draw enough. Unless it's work. Sometimes I'll draw like less than 10 times a year. It's crazy because people, you wouldn't know it from my, like, you don't see it in like any diminishing quality in my work from it. I know some people say, you know, you have to do this many hours and to be really good at something, and how much of it is natural talent, how much of it is this or that. But just like I said, you're going to find your own way of doing things and there's no rules. It's kind of the same with that. Like, just because I can draw sometimes like a handful of times a year and improve doesn't mean that everyone can, and it doesn't mean that there's anything special about me. It's just that's where my aptitude is. And you got to remember that I've been drawing since I was a child. And my mother was a talented artist, so who knows? Maybe there's some sort of genetic something genetic in it that gives me a predisposition to enjoying, and that's the main thing. It's just enjoying it. I think you constantly improve when you're enjoying what you're drawing every time. I've found that I actually regress sometimes when I was working as an illustrator, because you tend to work under tight deadlines and you tend to simplify even without even knowing it. At least I did. You tend to simplify your stuff. So over the years I found that that's the only time I really regress. It wasn't from not drawing enough, but it's something I would like to start doing more. That was the whole reason why why I am starting up this channel, is the fact that I feel like I should be doing more just for mental health and stuff, because this last year everybody's kind of been through it, including myself. Don't really like the line there, but I think I can make it work. I'll redo it. Gotta remember though that this is not necessarily gonna follow the same line as the jacket there. Bring that down a little further. Let's see the settings on this here. I don't know if my camera turned off there. It seemed like it did. Ooh. Sometimes you see, I like to use these long, like, I don't know, maybe it's just laziness on my part, but I tend to like to define stuff with longer lines. Takes less time to ink something, because you'll see lots of guys going there and they're just doing this like little dash lines, which is fine. Like I said, everybody does stuff differently. I'm not sure exactly how I'm gonna define the stuff on his robot arm there. You know, right now I just feel like filling in a bunch. So I'm just gonna go in here, the bigger brush, and I'm just gonna start filling in stuff here. Just want to have more of an idea what the final product may look like. Now, leather is an interesting texture to kind of try to draw. There are tons of great comic book artists and stuff out there, or tons of just good illustrators out there, are really good at defining that leather texture. I think like George Jimenez, I think is his name. He does a really good job. He uses like special brushes where he kind of just works in the negative, which I'll probably go in and do a little bit here too, where he's basically filling in parts with black and then going in with a textured brush. I think that's how he does it, or else he's spending a lot of time hatching in there, which could be the case. But I used to love that Krita. One of the reasons why I used to love working in that program, which is a free drawing program. So if you guys don't have Photoshop or you don't have any money at all to start, I would suggest that program. It's great. They used to have a really good hatching system, but I think it's changed now. They have some really nice like default brushes. They had ones that really looked like light pencils that you kind of like finger smudged as well as hatched, but it's no longer in the base. So I don't know what happened to that brush. I was very disappointed when they got rid of it there. I mean, I could always use an older version of the program, but the only problem I've been finding with it is it's not as fast, as in I don't like this program is really fast. I can make a stroke really quick and it will show up. Sometimes you'll get a big trail. It could just be in the settings. Maybe I had the smoothing on too much and didn't realize it, but that is most likely probably what the issue was, now that I think about it. So just using these long brush strokes to kind of define shape here. I usually use a pretty thick brush for this kind of texturing kind of work. And you want to base, it's weird. There's kind of this divide. Do you want your digital art to look digital, or do you want it to look look more like organic, like an actual pen and ink drawing, or actual like acrylic painting or watercolor painting? It's really up to you. I've seen some YouTubers that won't mention the names, but they kind of look down on stuff that looks digital when people are using certain techniques, certain texturing techniques, certain layers. Some people want you to always paint one layer, and it's important for, if you're going for that look, if you're going for a real organic kind of look that's similar to what you would do with actual paint. But otherwise, it's just bad advice, because you're telling people to not be themselves, not try, experiment the things. Like, I don't understand that kind of mentality. Like I said, there's no real wrong or right way of doing anything. Some of the best artists are really good, like mixed media artists and stuff like that. They're always breaking the rules, and their stuff looks so cool. So, and there's tons of digital artists that have a real digital look, but it looks cool. So I don't get it. I really don't get it. I think it's kind of, you make a rule for yourself because you want it to look a certain way in a certain style, and then when people ask you for advice, you obviously are going to tell them, well, this is what I do. But it can often become, this is how you do it, which isn't exactly true. It's like some oil painters paint with like a really detailed underpainting first. Some don't. Some use want to use more 3D paint look with different layers of thick paint. Others don't. Like, don't really understand that kind of. I don't see how that helps a person in the long run. That being said, I'm not the best teacher and I'm not the best artist, but it's just kind of my opinion on those matters. And it's not saying that you can't learn stuff from people with that mindset either. So I've learned a lot from one guy in particular comes to mind from his channel, but but I don't really agree with his philosophy on the matter. It's kind of coming out too thick there. I'm not liking the look of the strap here. I just don't know if it's bothering me enough that I'm going to change it a lot. Or if when I come in here and do more of the shading on the belt here, if that's gonna help me not hate it. That's another thing. Not everything's gonna work. You could be working on something for an hour and then end up just wanting to throw it out. That's a big problem with me. That's another reason why I thought doing this stuff live would be a good idea. Any personal work of mine, if I don't kind of like the way it's going right away, I can often just end up chucking it. Which isn't always the best solution. I don't know what I'm going to do with those. I'll put them in after, I think. Now, I know I said I don't, I was trying not to put any kind of lighting in here, and it looks like I'm doing a lot of that. A lot of that's easily changed at this point. I just make sure I kind of have a rim light around everything. But I can always go in and define these a little bit differently, or if I need to. It's kind of generic lighting at this point. There's the term CG artists use for, can't remember it now. But it's like a basic lighting that goes on everything first before they actually add their lights in. I can't remember the name of it right now. Let me just zoom out here and see what I'm looking at. Alright, that's okay. So I think I'm just going to keep on with this. We've been going about 45 minutes, I think, here. It's going to go for... Oh, I guess we've been going for an hour and 20. So I'm going to do about 20 more minutes here and see where I'm at, and then I might have to finish this one up tomorrow. Well, actually, probably not tomorrow. I think I'm going to try to do this once a week, so maybe it'll be next week. I really need to get an Instagram set up for this too, so I can post the final image where everybody can kind of come look at it and see the final piece finished. Just gonna try. I'm not. Okay. See, that's what I started doing wrong there. Started defining those probably in the opposite direction. It's a problem I have a lot that I'll often start doing, not realize it. Now here I'm not putting the outline of the jacket yet, because because I kind of want to just find it kind of more in a painterly way of finding the shape. So I'm just defining the shadows right now of the shape. Okay. A little bit more on my background. I've worked mostly like I've done a lot of work as an illustrator. I've worked as a graphic designer, worked in video production a lot. That was my original kind of passion, and what I wanted to do with my life was more directed in the film basis, but kind of got discouraged over the years of doing it. And I really like just being able to tell a story kind of without kind of on my own, and something that you can do with just a single drawing. I still love that stuff, and I still will probably be doing video production kind of work as a job. It's just not, I'm just not as passionate about it as I once was. I find I don't find as much inspiration in it anymore as I once did. There's a lot less movies and stuff that really inspire me, and a lot less. I guess I've seen so many different techniques and stuff that I'm so much more into the actual story aspect of it, that all the technical stuff isn't as intriguing to me as it used to be. So I still like to write and come up with ideas for stories. Like, I think that storyteller bug will never kind of go away, but it might just be in a different space. But who knows? I'm not ruling it out that I would. I mean, if I had the funds or the backing or the interest, and someone was like, "Hey, we'll definitely help you make your film a reality, your idea into something," I wouldn't say no. But it's just not as much my focus anymore. Wonder if my camera overheated there, because it sounded like it turned off, or it seems like it's turned off now. But we'll see. Being my first live stream, I've had a lot of issues already. Didn't realize you needed 24 hours before you had to set up your kind of thing. 24 hours before you make your first live stream, you kind of have to set up a few things. I really jumped into this with not enough preparation probably, but my wife was like, if you're gonna do it, you just gotta do it. So I was like, yeah, you're right. It's like working out, kind of just gotta force yourself sometimes, but just set up a schedule and just do it. Don't feel like doing it, do it. Not prepared, try it. I don't think Bucky wears leather pants, does he? I don't know. Ugh, I'm getting kind of lazy here. Just kind of getting sloppy. I mean, I'll go in and refine it all, but I hate it when start noticing stuff like that. That my just not defining stuff as nicely as I probably should be. Oh. Well, it's just kind of the fold. What's going to happen? You're going to have a lot of folding, kind of where the, especially when he's got a leg kind of raised here. You're usually going to get some kind of puckering around the belt area there. Wow, it's a real simplified belt. See, that's the kind of stuff that I've got to work on. I mean, it's still very early on in the drawing, but those are things that I hope to start working on a bit more. I was going to try to make these 2 hours and finish the picture entirely, but I don't think I'll be able to do that. I guess I'm not at the level of like David Finch yet, where I can just knock one of these drawings out in 2 hours from start to finish. But I'm pretty sure he does some pretty extensive like pre-drawing for that, like a pretty detailed thumbnail, but I could be wrong. I mean, it is he is a professional comic book artist, so maybe he's just used to it. Oh my god, what an ugly line. So here's where I might, there's some stabilization settings here. This is where I might raise them. And this you'll start seeing it kind of trail. Oh, no, not yet. Let's use the husky brush. This is where you start seeing it kind of, yeah. I'm not getting the stabilization I want. Rock that up a notch. I can always go in and refine this line with the eraser tool as I start detailing stuff. I'm kind of seeing now where the light is kind of hitting. So far I've got it kind of directionally coming. So right now it seems like I've got kind of light coming down in here. I just don't know if I'm gonna keep that or not. But I'm kind of enjoying the look of this so far. Let's define that a little bit. Ooh, see, I prefer that kind of painterly method I used on this arm here. Just helps when you got lots of folds and you need it to look organic. But does it pull away from everything else that looks more comic booky style? That's what I'll have to figure out later. Just gonna define some of the hair here too. I've got like maybe 30 more minutes in this stream. I'm gonna try this brush. See what that. Yeah, no, maybe not. I'm gonna bring the stabilization back to where it was. I think it was like 3. Not that it was stabilizing that much anyways, but okay, so this hair is gonna be coming. Now I'm kind of gonna end up doing the hair kind of like I did the arm there. I'm gonna probably define it mostly with kind of like painterly, like brush strokes. Get one kind of area there. Bring that there. Oh, let's bring in that. One nice thing about using Digital 2 is working in the negative. You can do it with certain certain opaque inks that are white that you can go over your black inks with. I use a Pentel gel white pen when I'm doing that, or you can use even white acrylic paint, but it's usually not as opaque as you want it to be. Is the issue with that stuff, I guess. So I'm just kind of getting stuff in right now. Like I said, I'll go in with the eraser and define the shapes probably a bit more after. Just don't know how much of the ear is going to be shown there. Do I want any of the ear showing? Alright, that is going to go to there. And let's go in there. Now, lots of this is probably going to change, but I don't know. Just kind of getting a rough idea right now. Still not sure about the hair, how I'm going to do that. But I do like the motion of that. Ooh, that's too thick. Now, I don't know if I want it. What I'm thinking is I can either go kind of just broad shapes and do like the kind of like arm sections, the metallic arm sections, that kind of way, or I can do it kind of like you'll see on like some people do with like Colossus. They'll do like different sections like of the deltoid, or one section and then this one's another section. I'm not sure. Or oh, I didn't realize how bad that looked until now. Oops. Trying that on a rounded arm isn't the easiest thing to do. You know what? I don't want this to do is terminate there. And this angle might need to be more. This is why some people do a lot more sketching. But when you're working digitally, I don't understand it because you're gonna just, you can edit stuff so easily. So you know what? Maybe I will. What is this? Oh, apparently I was doing that on another layer. I didn't realize. I'm just gonna merge that with the one below it. I probably mentioned doing it, I just don't remember. But I am going to make a new layer. Just to kind of play around here and define what I'm going to do here. What I think I want to do is kind of like a sectioned one. So I kind of want different steps. So I kind of want it to go 1, 2. And I want to kind of keep the curve going just to help define. Actually, spacing's not very good there. All right. I might need to go in further. Okay. Getting distracted by the different stuff. Okay. Let's start first with the easier way, and then I will add to it what I'm thinking. Alright, that's better. Even though my monitor's on a swivel here, and I could change it to get a better arc, because I tend to arc really good this way, but arcing this way, you can see it's a lot harder for me to get like a smooth arc. But see what I can do. The reason why I don't is that my HDMI cable and, well, actually it's a DVI to VGA cable on this monitor, and the power cord are a little short, so I'm afraid of yanking them right out. Well, I am going to go a little bit more simplified, I think, on that. I'm going to have to go back in there and clean all that up. Actually, erase that line. Oh. Well, I'm taking it all the way back because I was doing that. I made this layer to work on it and on that section, but I messed it up. Was working on the wrong layer. It's always good to check that. Let's do more around. Yeah, I like that better. Then let's do that. Oh yeah, I like that way better. So, happy accident that I did it on the wrong layer. I ended up finding something I like more. Boy. Having trouble with right there. I probably shouldn't be doing this part this zoomed out either, but I kind of want want to see it all right now, though. Also, my camera cable is going across behind this monitor, and I think I would wreck the camera if I pulled it right now and tried to adjust it. Now, what I do like is if it had kind of this going on, something like that going on in it, but how much of that are you going to see through? Through everything else. Okay, let's keep it like that for now. So I got about 15 more minutes here before I have to call it quits for this week. I'm feeling that I'm gonna have kind of more of my light coming. Might change the light source a little bit to be coming in this direction a little bit more. That's what I'm kind of feeling right now. Then I can go in here and get the details of that a little bit more the way I want it. Of course, there's going to be a rim light kind of coming up from the back here in the opposite direction. Yeah, I'm liking that lighting wise a little bit more. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the mask. I'm going to have to look up some more masks, see what exactly I want to do for that. Be a little homework for myself for next time. Ooh, let's figure out that shield too. Now, just to get, I want you guys to kind of see like what kind of if I'm doing like what my finishing rendering style more is before I head off today. I'm just wondering what section I should do. I might just do the face here. All right. Oops, on the wrong layer. I just might come in there with some shadow. Now that I know, I think I'm going that way. Just gonna follow the curve that a little bit. Now that means that the underside of this is going to be darker. And the underside of this eyeball here too will probably end up being darker. So this whole area where the cheek meets might actually be more in shade. Now you can get, the one issue with working digitally is you can kind of get into the weeds a little bit with your detailing. So you always got to make sure that you're, zooming out and going, okay, like I haven't gone too detailed in that area. It's a big problem, especially when you're first starting out, because you can zoom in, which you can't do really in real life. So you tend to overdo certain details. You know what? I don't really need to define that there. Let's go darker. My drawing style hasn't really changed a heck of a lot over the years. It has a little bit. I guess it depends though, what I'm doing. If I'm doing like more of a digital painting or not. Which I will also be doing on this channel. But I like to digital paint in Photoshop more than this Clip Studio. But I'm gonna have to learn, since my Photoshop does not want to work anymore in Windows 10 with this drawing monitor, which really sucks. Define kind of something like that. I notice my brush is a little bit thicker than I would usually like it to be for this. But it's a good starting point. There's no real rules of like where I'm hatching or anything. It's just whatever looks to me like needs some shading or something. Yeah, I'm gonna drop that brush size. Usually I don't play around with the brush size too much, but it's just not what I was looking for. Now the light's kind of becoming from up there. Sometimes the suggestion of what's there, you could go really into the weeds there too with details and like trying to get like all of the details of the eye in there, and it's just not really going to help you in the long run because it's gonna just look way too messy. What time am I at here? We got 10 more minutes. Whoa, wrong brush. See this, I'm just kind of extending the hatch there with going in there with the eraser tool. Cool. Oh, sorry. Smacked my mic there. Been loud in your ears. I just don't know how much I want that to actually fade there. I don't know how much I want to define to kind of the actual hairs. I just kind of want to give a little bit of indication of them, but I don't know if I want to go in there and really make them look too bushy. No. Oh. Wow. Not a fan of that. All right, well, I think that's where we're going to end off today, and thank you for watching my live stream, and I'll see you next week where we try to finish this Winter Soldier. And here is where we're at.